Hey, what's up guys? It's Alex or Nusnus here, and in today's video we are going to be ranking the RuneScape 3 skills in the most profitable skills being S tier and the worst skills for profit being F tier. This is exactly what I did in my previous video with bosses, and I'm going to be doing it today with RuneScape 3 skills. I thought this would be pretty interesting as I haven't seen a video doing this for skills with money, the same that happened with bosses. I have seen people do videos ranking, worst to best and stuff like that, but I haven't seen anybody do in terms of profitability, which, I mean, if we play RuneScape, let's be honest, profitability is something, or a main reason that we play the game for, is to try to make that GP. So I'm going to be ranking all the skills here, so I won't be ranking combat skills such as like attack, HP. I mean, there's no really profit to be made there. I mean, you use them for other skills, but not on their own. I will be ranking magic, however, as magic is, there are different ways you can make money with magic, different spells, without actually, using it for combat. So yeah, we're going to start here, and archaeology actually isn't on this list, but I'll be ranking it anyway later on. So we'll start with hunter. So hunter is going to go to S tier. Big game hunter is king. It honestly is. You can make 15 plus an hour, 15 mil plus an hour. Doing like the lower level ones that supply meats to the higher level ones can make you a ton. There's a chance for a Dragonmatic drop now, which is very expensive. The Terrorist Remal is over 300 mil. If you haven't trained hunter, go to Big Game Hunter. It is amazing. It's one of my favorite mini games. I have a guide on it that I made solely because I just love the mini game so much. So Hunter is definitely S tier. Next we're going to go Summoning, and I debated this for a while, but I'm going to put it B tier. I'm going to put Summoning B tier because most of the conventional methods will lose you money if you're doing the best XP methods, of course. But there are a lot of methods that can make you money, such as, the video I just made recently that showcased a way you can make 8 mil an hour with summoning. There are lots of ways where you can cast different scrolls. I know back in the day people did Fruitfall a lot, but I think there's even better ones nowadays. So summoning has a variety of different methods that can make you money, so I thought it was a solid B tier. Could be in between B and C, but we'll put it at B. Next is Runecrafting. Now, I debated, but I have to put Runecrafting in S tier. It's not as good as Hunter, but it's pretty damn good. So for Runecrafting, you can Runecraft through the Abyss. Blood runes are insanely expensive. Soul runes are like 3k each or something dumb. Runes are just super expensive. I know you can't craft soul runes through the Abyss, but you can craft soul runes, obviously, but you can craft, blood runes through the Abyss, and you now get the magical thread for rune pouches, which that's insane. I mean, rune pouches, I think I paid 60 mil for 3 rune pouches, so pretty expensive. So rune crafting, like it is on old school, is just an insane moneymaker. So I'd recommend looking into that if you're trying to make the most money out of skilling. Next we have Divination, which, I really am debating here, but I think I'm going to put it A tier. It's very close to S tier, very close. You can make a really good amount of money doing Cursed Energy, Incandescent Energy. You make a really good amount of money with the new Archaeology relics and stuff, can really help make a ton of money with Divination. So Divination has always been a very solid skill. It's not quite S tier, I don't think. Some of you may disagree with me and let me know in the comments, but I would put it at a solid A plus if I could. Summoning would probably be a B minus or so on that scale. So next we have Herbler, which I really wanted to find more methods, but I'm going to have to put it in F tier. We all know Herbler is just to get to those potions that can help you with PVM and stuff like that. Making potions, there are very little money-making methods with Herbler. I found some very small niche methods, but you pretty much don't get any XP, and it's going to lose you. Most of Herbler is going to lose you a ton of money, and the niche methods aren't very consistent, so Herbler is definitely an F tier. Next we have Magic, which I put in a solid C, just because there are different things like Super Glass Make, Strange Jewelry, stuff like that, you can make an okay amount of money. It's average, it's decent. I mean, you're not going to be getting tons of XP in the skill if you're using those methods, but it's okay. I mean, it would definitely. I'm thinking about moving. I'm going to move it down to D tier. I just talked myself down. I just convinced myself to move it down. But yeah, I would say I'm thinking more now D tier. So next is something that's actually not on the list, which is archaeology, which I'm just going to put in A tier. I don't have a little icon for it because this list was made before it came out, but I would put it in A tier. There are lots of methods. You can gather materials with porters, you can sift, you can find the spear tips of annihilation and Inquisitor staff pieces when you're a super high level just from training it. So obviously you're going to spend a lot of money to train it up and repair your artifacts, but the money that can be made from different methods if you try to make money are really, really good. So I would definitely put it A tier. I've made a ton of videos on money making with archaeology, and I'm sure some of them still stand up as it was only a few months ago. So archaeology is a solid A tier. Now we're gonna go on to fletching, and fletching I'm gonna go to D tier as well. Fletching is kind of like magic because it has a few okay methods, like different types of headless arrows like elder arrows, sentry bolts, but buy limits in G kind of mess that up a bit. So it doesn't have many money makers, and I think the whole fletching skill in general just needs a rework. I find it one of the most boring skills, one of the least skills that has the least content. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fletching, so it's never meant to be super exciting, but I just find it a pretty bland skill. Next, we're going to go to cooking, and it sucks because I really wanted cooking to be good. I thought it was going to be good when I was researching for all these skills, but on old school, you can almost cook anything for profit, but on RuneScape 3, almost everything loses you profit. There are again, just like Herblore, hardly any methods, and they're very, very niche, like wilder pies and stuff where you have to buy so many different things that probably aren't traded very often. So I wish it was better, but it seems like XP is king, and people that cook just want the fastest XP, and they're going to lose money doing it, kind of like Herblore. So next we have smithing, which I'm going to put in D tier. Again, just like all the skills in D tier, it has very little methods. I guess most of them that are actually good are smithing bars, but you're not going to get much XP for smithing bars when you're not smithing equipment. So not too many methods there, so that's why smithing gets D tier. Now agility, I'm not sure where I want to put it, either C or B tier. I'm going to go C tier, and here's why. There's almost no methods for agility. I think there's one, and it's the Anachrony agility course, and that has really boosted this up way higher. Otherwise, it would probably be F tier. You can make 7 mil an hour there from codex pages, which of course is really, really, really good for agility. And it would be higher if there were more methods, but that is pretty much it for agility. So there's not a lot of variety, but you can make a decent amount of money. And actually I recommend doing the Anachrony agility course when you can, because surge codexes, double surge, double escape codexes are very expensive. So next on the list we have mining, which is going to go down here with our friends in the F tier. There's just not much you can do to make money mining. I don't think I've ever once seen a mining money making video. I mean, other than maybe soft clay, which, can you really count soft clay as mining? Would you really get hardly any XP? I guess it is, but there's really nothing for mining. Again, it's mostly a skill based on progression and, leveling up the skill rather than using it to make lots of money. Next we have thieving, which I'm going to put at D tier. I really wish I could put it higher because thieving is one of my favorite skills, but the only methods that I could really find or think of that give decent money, and when I'm talking decent money, I'm basing this off 2-3 mil an hour, which in RS3 isn't that much nowadays. I mean, a good skilling method is 5 mil an hour. 10 mil an hour is really good, and then anything above that is really, really good for skilling. But, you know, the only thing I could think of is thieving Prif Elves and doing the clues that you get, which is what I do a lot. But I think there's really not as much money making as there should be for thieving, because I think there's a lot of opportunity to find good money makers and put in game good money makers for thieving. I really like what Old School did, where they, you know, have rare drops like from Slayer monsters, but for thieving. So like, I don't know, I guess we'll see when the quest comes out, but imagine for the new quest if there was, you know, I don't know if there's going to be, I haven't done much research into the quest, but if they release a new quest and there was a new city and the city had, you know, Slayer monsters and they dropped this certain item that people wanted to get, they could also add that item as a really rare drop to the people of the town. You could pickpocket them and potentially get it. I like that idea because it makes thieving viable, although probably not as viable as, you know, killing the monsters for it, but still a viable method. So I think they could really do a lot to revive thieving and skilling in general as money makers. So next we're going to go to crafting. F tier, not really much you can say. Another skill with very niche and low XP methods. I guess like molten glass you can make into bomb vials, but most of crafting is just losing tons of money training, just like herbivore. Then we have a surprising one for me, woodcutting. F tier. I did not expect woodcutting to be F tier. You know, it's always, people are like, oh, I used to chop yews for money back in the day, I used to chop magic logs for money back in the day, but I mean, there's not much I can say about woodcutting. Like cutting elder logs, some of the highest level logs you can do, makes you 600k an hour. 600k an hour. I could probably kill chickens and make more than 600k an hour. Woodcutting is just trash. Next is, speaking of trash, we have construction, which is going to go in the F tier. I mean, the skill is basically just, you know, burning money. That's the whole skill. So not much to say there. Next up we have farming, which we're going to put in A tier. Now I put farming in A tier because, you know, it's hard to say because there are a lot of methods that lose money, but it's a skill you can make a lot of money in if you set yourself up to make a lot of money. If you set up your runs right, you know, you do grapevines, berries, picking from trees, cactuses, herb runs. If you target your farm runs to making money, you can make a lot of money every day. So I would say farming is a very solid skill for making money. Firemaking, we're going to put it right here in the D tier. Actually, let's switch it up because I think it's a little worse than these skills. We'll put it in the E tier. I don't think it's quite an F because there are a few methods that can make decent money. I could only really find like making incense sticks and doing Char's Cave, but you know, I don't think it's, you know, just straight losing tons of money, but it would, because since there are a few decent methods, but it's definitely not on the level of all these skills. Next we have fishing, which I'm going to put in C tier. I think that could be a little too high. I guess you guys can tell me in the comments, but I really wanted fishing to be good, as it's a really great skill, but it's honestly not insanely good money. But it is AFK, and you can make a decent amount fishing higher level fish like blubbers and sailfish that are used for PVM. So I would put it in C, but it really is not on par with the S, A, and B tier skills at all. So next we're going to have Invention, and I'm debating, but I think I'm going to put Invention in B tier. And the reason I'm putting it in B tier is, I mean, there's just not a lot of methods, but there are methods like disassembling, and I'm including the invention machines because you can use those to make like unfinished potions, alching, stuff like that. They're very like passive money makers that you can make with invention, which I think gives it a decent chance at being B. If there was, I would say maybe C+. It's definitely better than fishing. Probably better than agility altogether, but it's pretty close. Next we have prayer, which is going to be F tier. It's similar to construction, as you just lose a lot of money. Next we have dungeoneering, which actually isn't. I don't think I don't think you can make any money with dungeoneering. You know, I thought about, should I include elite dungeons in this? Which I'm not sure is elite dungeons dungeoneering. So that's something you guys can tell me. I'm going to consider that if you're training dungeoneering, you know, I'm not going to say like elite dungeons, dungeoneering, because then that would be S tier. But I guess I'll include them in the fact that, you know, you're doing like trash mob running, because that's more like dungeoneering than actually running the full dungeons with the bosses. That's PVM. That is, you know, doing bossing. But if you're trash mob running, and or there's another method where you can buy vital spark enhancers and kill things like corrupted creatures and get more vital sparks. So I'm going to put dungeoneering in C tier. I'm really not sure what to do with it. I'm not sure if elite dungeons counts, but we're just going to put it there for the sake of putting it there. And last but finally not least, as we're not doing any of the combat, we are going with Slayer. Now Slayer I would have to put at S tier. Let's be honest. Slayer is king. I mean, the amount of monsters that you can make 15-20 mil an hour from doing Slayer is just insane. You know, a lot of the, you know, dinosaurs, you can get the blast diffusion boots are 100 mil. The I'm actually not sure if you can get the blast diffusion boots from Slayer creatures. I think you can. Cinderbane gauntlets are like 60 mil. Nightmare gauntlets are 40 mil. Blood shards are pretty expensive. You know, there's just so many different Slayer creatures. Lava strike worms. Slayer is just king. It should be above. It's above Hunter. It's above Runecrafting. It's king in old school. It's king in RS3, and it's king of this tier list. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think it was really fun. I did a lot more research for this one than I did for the bossing one, as I thought, you know, I missed a lot of stuff with the bossing video, although I did feel like I got most of it right. There were a few outliers that I definitely missed and didn't put in the right spot. So I'm hoping that this list is better. I know there's a few probably controversial ones, maybe summoning being a little too high, or maybe things like, I don't know, fishing, or I'm sure somebody's going to tell me that, you know, they made 50 mil an hour cooking or something, but no, with all means, feel free to tell me if you have some different methods. But I try to base this off the whole of the skill, not just maybe one method in the skill that is going to make you a ton of money. I tried to say across all the skill, does it have decent money making? Is it consistent? Are there different variety of methods? That's why agility is lower, even though it's like 8 mil an hour, because there's only one method. So I really put a lot of effort into this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and like the video. And if you want to see more tier lists or videos like this, drop a suggestion and I may make it a reality. So thanks for watching, guys.